Rescuers looking for the missing Titan submarine in the North Atlantic have confirmed the vessel suffered a catastrophic implosion, killing all 5 souls on board. It brings a tragic end to the story that's gripped the world.
An ROV, or remote operated vehicle, from the vessel Horizon Arctic discovered the tail cone of the Titan submersible approximately 1,600 feet from the bow of the Titanic on the seafloor. The ROV subsequently found additional debris. In consultation with experts from within the Unified Command, the debris is consistent with the catastrophic loss of the pressure chamber.
Just terrible news. I'm joined live now by Guillermo Son Lee. He is the former chief executive and the co-founder of OceanGate, the firm that made the doomed sub, who until earlier tonight said he remained hopeful his friends and colleagues, including the OceanGate chief executive Stockton Rush, would be successfully rescued. So, Guillermo, this must be an absolutely devastating night for you. Firstly, please take my condolences and the condolences of the audience. What's your reaction to the loss of the submarine and especially your friend, the chief executive, Stockton Rush?
Yeah, as you can imagine, it's a tragic loss for the families of the crew, for the team members who have spent the last 4 days feverishly trying to find and rescue their teammates. I've been dealing with this for the last 3+ days, and it's been a roller coaster ride of emotions for me. I can't even imagine what it's like for them.
Based on what you've heard from the Coast Guard, what do you think happened to Titan?
Well, I think it's premature for anybody to speculate on what happened. It's going to take days, weeks, months to collect data and analyze the data and try to figure out what happened. Right now is more a time to mourn the loss of the crew members and to preserve their legacies, and there will certainly be a time for making these kinds of assessments in the future.
Can you talk to me a little bit about Stockton Rush? What was he like as a man, as a human being?
So I first met Stockton in 2008, and then we co-founded OceanGate in 2009. I was immediately drawn to him because he's one of the most intelligent people I've ever met. Talented aerospace engineer, a passionate explorer. He was very committed to pushing the bounds of humanity's knowledge of the world's oceans in large part so that we could preserve the ocean. And he was an incredible human being. He was also, despite what others have said, very risk averse. He was very keenly aware of the dangers of operating in the deep ocean. He was very committed to safety and believed that every one of the innovations in anything he designed was designed to expand the capabilities of humanity learning about the oceans, but also the capability of doing it as safely as possible.
I'm glad you've said that, because he has come in for some quite extraordinary abuse over the past few days, which I think is totally inappropriate given that we didn't know if he were lost or not, given what his family was going through. But it sounds like you feel pretty convinced that he wouldn't have cut corners here.
No, and I think a lot of the folks that are commenting on this do have the expertise to form opinions like this, but like me, they don't have all of the data. And I think it's really a matter of waiting until we have the data and have a chance to analyze it, to figure out what happened, take some lessons learned, and move forward from there.
Well, look, I repeat, absolutely devastating news. Guillermo Sonlin, the former CEO and co-founder of OceanGate, thank you so much for joining us at this really difficult time. Now, Titan's pilot was the Frenchman Paul-Henri Nargeolet, and my next guest, the world-renowned Titanic historian Craig Sopin, was a close friend and colleague of the skilled seaman who perished with his crew. Craig, I think we're going to get you back very shortly. Craig Sopin, I think we have you now. Craig,
I am here.
huge condolences. What a terrible day. Tell me about your friend, Paul-Henri, guy in his late 70s, still taking incredible risks.
Yeah, it's actually been a very difficult 4 days for me. As soon as I heard the news on Monday morning, I sent PH an email, hoping against hope that he would write back and tell me that he just didn't make the voyage for some reason. And knowing that PH always responds to me immediately, and having not received a response, I knew that he had to be on that ship. And, you know, I can't see him taking too much risk. He acknowledged that there was risk in anything we do, but he's a pretty smart guy. And I can't see him doing a project like this unless he felt that it was safe to do. He was very passionate about Titanic, which is why I think in this particular case, he was more or less what I can consider to be a tour guide rather than the pilot. However, he has piloted many voyages to the Titanic. In fact, more than just about anybody else. I think he was down there about 37 times. So
Wow.
no one knew more about the layout of this wreck than him. Whenever I had a question about what something looked like or where something could be found, he is the one that I asked. If I were going to go on a voyage, he would be the one I'd want to go with. I've known him for about 25 years, and I can say, and echoing a lot of other people's opinions, that is really just too early to tell what happened and what made this ship come apart. I'm an attorney full-time, so I really rely on evidence, not assumption, not supposition.
Exactly.
Before I make conclusions.
Exactly. And that's why I think a lot of the criticism has been incredibly unfair, because we do not know what happened. But look, Craig, I want to talk to you about the Titanic. You know, you're one of the world-renowned Titanic historians. So many of us, millions around the world, me included, remain absolutely fascinated by that fateful voyage. But what do you make of the fact that it has now caused this new tragedy, this new loss of lives 111 years on? It's going to really add to the mystique and the horror that still surrounds the Titanic, isn't it?
I think that we have just added 5 more people to the victims of Titanic. When people would wake up every morning for the last 4 days and want to know what happened to that submersible, they run to turn on the news on television. I don't think they were merely looking at a submersible that was missing, but they were looking at a submersible that was connected to Titanic, because Titanic has such an allure, not just from the films and the books, but also from the stories, the 2,200 stories that came off the Titanic, and the ship goes out in so many directions, that is what I think they were really looking at in this case. The loss of human life here was the real tragedy, and now we've had 2 Titanic tragedies in the last 111 years.
I know. It's unbelievable. It really is a story that has captivated the world. We were hoping for a happy ending this time, and what a tragedy that we didn't get one. The Titanic historian Craig Sopin, close friend of the Frenchman Paul-Henri Nargeolet, confirmed lost with the Titan tonight. Thank you so much, Craig.